Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Art of Braids podcast. I'm your host, Karen Tenard, and I'm excited about today's guest. We're talking about a topic I feel needs to be talked about more often, which is the benefits of starting a natural hair media company. And today's guest is Natasha Gaspard, founder of the amazing brand Main Moves Media. And since today's topic is about the benefits of starting a natural hair media company, who better to talk about it? I remember growing up, it was just like so crazy. All I would see on TV was Just for Me, and it was about, getting your hair straightened or using products that soften your curls or just change the way that your natural hair looked. Like it wasn't about like wearing braids or protective styles. That was not it. It was by the time I got to cosmetology school, even in there was like color, cut, let's transform your natural state of hair to something else, and they introduced the keratin treatment, and I was like, ugh, keratin. I tried it, it looked good, but the damage was definitely apparent. But that was what the media was doing back then. It wasn't telling you about how amazing your hair is or being natural. It was just kind of like, natural is cool, but this is better. Like be something completely different was what indirectly was what I was getting. But I'm not gonna let y'all wait any longer. Let's welcome Natasha Gaspard. So, Natasha, thank you so much for joining us today. Your time and your brand means everything to us. And I'm excited to have you here. Before we get started, I know you, but
Yeah.
my but my audience doesn't. So I would like you to give a background of your story, what it is you do in your work, in your business. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you so much. And the backstory, right? So when you were giving your story about growing up, it sounds similar to where we are today a little bit, right? In the sense that there still isn't a lot of, I would say, traditional media that is showcasing braids or the healthy hair care, you know?
Mhm.
And that's why I started Main Moves Media. So for me, I grew up in Brooklyn, right? To Haitian parents. So ça passe everybody. I grew up in the 80s, in Brooklyn in the 80s. And so television for me was like the Cosby Show. And then later on was like shows like A Different World. And, although Black people were very we're expressive with our hair, there was a standard that a lot of us were living up to, which was straight hair at the time, right? And so when I went to college and then I went natural in college, right? I returned back to my natural texture in college after being inspired by Miss Lauryn Hill.
Mm.
Um, I had to challenge myself. I challenged myself. That's really what it was. I was challenging myself to see if I could accept myself the way that I was naturally, meaning my hair. So for a long time, I grew up believing that straight hair was pretty. Straight hair was the prettiest. You know what I mean? It was something to aspire to. It was something that was a rite of passage once you got to a certain age as a little Black girl. Either a special occasion like a first communion or something like that, you would get your hair pressed. At least I did. I got my hair pressed with a hot comb in the kitchen.
Mm.
Or, when she was tired of doing that, she took me to a salon to do, to straighten my hair. And even in the salon experience, everybody was getting a relaxer in the salon. All the images, media is not just television and social media, but media is anything that is portraying a message. So that could be billboards, that could be radio, advertising, just radio in general, or music is media. You know what I mean? And so
Mm.
just looking at the magazines all around me, the posters in the salons, it was all straight hair. So it came to no surprise that I begged my mom for the Just For Me relaxer too when I was younger, because I was tired of getting these tension headaches or whatever it was after I used to get my hair straightened. And then, I always wanted to have my hair out. That was my thing. I didn't like these barrettes. I didn't like bows. I was like, listen, can I just have it out? But the thing is, my hair would shrink, and that wasn't even a term that I knew back then, but that's what was happening. My hair would shrink up. And as someone who was well versed in relaxer hair, my mom, right? Her idea around wetting your hair was a no-no, which is exactly what I needed when I was natural. I needed to wet my hair so that it could be pliable, so that when she came to detangle it, I wouldn't be in as much pain as I was. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So there, it was an interesting time for me in college, because when I realized that I had bought into this ideal, hook, line, and sinker, girl. I bought into it. I was living the life. You know what I mean? I was living the straight life out here. And when I was challenged to think differently, I had to really look within myself and say, well, why is it such a big deal for me to wear my natural hair? Like, why would it be such a thing? Why am I feeling this angst? Why is everybody that I'm asking looking at me like I'm crazy? Like, why would you ever do that? You know what I'm saying? So I said, there's something
Mm-hmm.
deeper here. And at the time, I was a psychology major before I became a communications major. So that kind of served me well a little bit, because I always wanted to understand why people thought the way that they did. And so in college, I found out that we had a television studio in our basement. I had no clue. I didn't know what communications was, right? But I knew when I was younger, I loved television, film, entertainment. I loved that type of thing. But as far as a career, I never thought. It was just not a thing. You know what I mean? Growing up in a Haitian household, my mother was like, you're going to be a nurse. You're going to be a doctor. You're going to be a this. You're going to be that. Media, I didn't understand it. I was like, I watch TV, but I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. It was just something that was so far removed from me. You know what I mean? From my thought process of how I was going to make it a career. But in college, when I found out about this TV studio, I was like, I need to know more about this. Like, I need to know. So I signed up for whatever project they had going on, and I went down there and I fell in love. I was like, oh snap, you could learn how to use these cameras. This is a TV studio. Like, I can create my own shows. I was like sold. Okay. So they were like, well, calm down. Just, take a communications class first. Don't change your major. I was ready to change my major and everything. Listen, when I'm excited about something, I'm going full steam ahead. So they were like, okay, slow down. Just take a class first. I was already 2 years into my psychology major. So they was like, relax. And so I took the communications class, and that's when I learned about mass communications. I learned about the history of television in this country. I learned about how media shapes images. Is it art imitating life, or is it life imitating art? You know what I mean? It was like these philosophical questions. I was in love with that class, and the professor saw something in me. And, needless to say, I switched my major, had to spend an extra semester in school to make up with the credits. But when I left school, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a music video director. I thought I was going to be like the next Hype Williams, the female Hype Williams. That didn't pan out. But fast forward a few years later, I still wasn't sure how I was going to get into the industry. Like, I knew what I learned in school, but I just didn't know how to make that leap. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened was, after I went natural, right, I cut my hair off. And look, there was no YouTube back then. Okay, we're talking about 1999, okay, 2000. No YouTube. There was magazines, Sophisticated Black Hair. There was all these magazines that, like I said, had this straight hair. They would have like a section for natural hair, but it would be all braids. And so when I was transitioning, that wasn't a word back then. When I was like, okay, I'm gonna cut my hair off, but before that, I'm gonna wear all these styles that I never got to wear. I cut my I had very long hair at the time, relaxed hair. I cut half of it like short, bob, and then the rest long. I always wanted that, but I was like, I can't do that. But now I was gonna cut all my hair off. I was like, I'm gonna do all the things. I had every braid style known to man at the time. I had micro braids. I had the faux locks. I had the poetic justice. I had all the braids, right? And so when it was time to go natural, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of braiding my hair. Like, I want to wear my hair. Like, it's time, right? It's time for me to wear my hair. And so I went to a salon. They cut all the relaxer off. My hair was so short. I was like, what did I just do? Because not only was I addicted to straight hair, I was addicted to long hair.
The length.
The length. I was like, oh, snap. I look like a boy. Oh, nobody's going to like me. I was going, woe is me type of thing. I had to get over that. And I was like, okay, so what am I gonna do? I knew nothing. I just picked my hair out into a little baby afro and I wore it like that until it just grew and then I had to figure it out, right? But at the time, people were coming up to me and asking me like, cut your hair. Why would you cut your hair? Oh my God, you're wearing your hair natural. I could never do that. How can you do that? And then it started to become more curious, like, well, I wish I could do that, but I can't, you know? And I was like, yes, you can, you can. And so as time started to go along and then YouTube started coming out and people started to have these conversations around this natural hair journey that everybody's on, you know what I mean? Um, I decided at the time, I was like, you know what? There needs to be a television show about returning to your natural hair. And it needs to have experts because I'm like, I'm not an expert in hair. You know what I mean? I need a professional. But I was like, who knows about natural hair? So fast forward a little bit, I started to work at this, I started to work at a media production company, not company, television station in Brooklyn called Brick TV. It was called BCAT at the time.
Yes. Brick Media now.
Yes, Brick Media. So I had went there because I had this idea for a show, the show that I'm talking to you about, right? I said it needs to be like a news magazine format. I want to have different segments. It's going to be New York City based. Obviously, we're gonna visit natural hair salons that I didn't know existed, but I was like, there has to be, right? So I'm like, it's gonna feature hairstylists that know how to braid and this, and they could talk to people about all the questions that people had. And so I said, well, how am I going to do this? Like, I'm not working at a TV station. I don't know. Like, I don't know. So I said, you know what? I'm going to create my own show and I'm going to do it on public access. So that's when I went to Brick. I went to BCAT and I was like, okay, I'm going to do my own show. They were hiring for a producer. Long story short, I got the job and started working there. But the impetus was there. The need was there. The need for women to see themselves represented, right? To know that natural hair is a possibility. Like you can be natural, you can live, you can work, you can get a husband or a wife, whatever you're looking for. It can happen for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what better way to spread the message than through television? I was thinking at the time, right? Or now the internet, because the internet has now democratized everything. You don't need to have $100 million studio and advertising budget and stuff like that. You can start your own channel online on YouTube. And so that's what I said. I was like, you know what? I'm going to create a whole channel because there's so many things that people need to know. There's so many things, there's so much history in this industry that people don't even know about. And I'll get to that later because I could keep going on and on. Again, media was the way to get these messages out there. So I knew that to have my own media channel where I would use it as a platform to reach all the people who are looking for this information in one place, I was like, hands down, that's what I'm doing.
Mm. Shoot. Well, in a nutshell, thank you so much. Like you basically summed it up and told your whole your back history about Just For Me, because that was I was singing the song. They had me, Just For Me. And I think as a natural hair company or personality, it's important to go through all of those phases because you can speak to people in a way that nobody else can, because it's like, oh, how do you know this doesn't work, or how do you know what this is going to look like in a couple of weeks or a couple of days? Like if you don't go through it, you're not going to be able to speak to it.
Yes.
So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. That is so true. I feel like, I'm not just the president, I'm the client as well. You know what I'm saying? And I knew what these women were going through. I knew where they were because I was there. I was there maybe 10 years before. You know what I'm saying? And I learned and I met natural hair stylists and I was listening to them and I was like, oh, child. I said, if the people knew what you know, I was like, you guys don't understand your value. Natural hairstylists know your value. And then I even tell you, I got certified in psychotherapy, which is a whole nother thing that brings my psychology background to the
Mm-hmm.
forefront, right? And learning, but it's not just about psychotherapy. Psychotherapy basically is talking about the connection that we have between hairstylist and client and how that was a sacred relationship on the continent.
Listen,
Okay.
okay. Like that's where we form bonds. And I continuously always say that I'm there like I learned to love doing my hair because that was a time where me and my mom bonded. We talked like, and then I think it takes that away from it when you're at a small age and you go to a salon and now like yeah, you can bond with other people, but the parent or the sibling loses that connection because they're not doing it themselves and most of them don't know how to do it. But okay, so let's get back to the the questions because no, thank you so much for being here because I definitely think you are a true asset to the this podcast right now. And so what is the topic is benefits of starting a natural hair media company. And you already kind of like touched on what inspired you to start your natural hair media company. So
Yes.
if anybody was listening, just scroll back a little bit and you'll hear that. But this I'm gonna ask is what challenges and benefits have you come across in this journey?
Mm.
And then also what unique perspectives and experiences do you feel your natural hair media company can bring to the industry or have brought?
Ooh. Okay. All right. The first part of your question was the challenges, right?
Mm-hmm.
Girl, let me tell you something. The biggest challenge that I have faced in this whole journey has been believing in myself. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. That's it. And I tie that back to what I'm doing because I realize what stops us from accepting our hair is the same thing that stops us from accepting our, and fill in the blank. You know what I'm saying? Either
Mm-hmm.
skin color or the size of our bodies or the way that we speak or where we come from or what education we have. So it's all of these ideas that have been put upon us, then that we internalize and then live out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized that this media company is bigger than me. It's bigger than my fears. It's bigger than my desires. It's bigger than all of that. I realized where I am right now, and I just told you a fraction of what I do. I didn't even
Mm-hmm.
say
Listen, that's another podcast. That's
yes,
another another topic.
it will be, but it's all connected because I understand. So it all started with my natural hair journey. And I was able to build a perspective from way up to kind of see everything and how everything is now. I see how it became this way, how, media played a part in it, right? So that's my solution to that, right? So media is a
Mm-hmm.
part of it, right? Because media is not all of it. Media is a part of projecting ideas and messages, right? But who is behind those ideas and messages? Do they even know who you are? Do they cater to you? And I think that that's why we saw a lot of things missing is because no, that's why we didn't see braids on TV growing up like that. I mean, we did see, I don't want to say there was none because that's
Mm-hmm.
inaccurate. But what I'm saying is that there was definitely more, in the mainstream media, it was definitely just one look that was pushed, more than others. And, and I'm not going to say that it was intentional because we can go into the whole, that part. But for me, I look at things just on a baseline level, just as like the truth, the bare truth. And the truth is, we were not there. We were not there. And I don't even expect those who were in charge of the media at that time to change that because that's not their thinking, that's not their mindset. They know nothing about me
This is
but
true.
me. You can't tell my story. Who are you? You can't tell my story. You know what I'm saying? You can't tell
Yeah.
my story. And that is like the basis of this is that you know, there's a proverb, African proverb that says like, until the lion can tell his own story, right? The success of the hunt will always be on the hunter, because the hunter is the one telling the story at the end of the day about you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, there's a whole backstory. So my point is this. The challenge for me again was me thinking that I needed to be a part of a bigger media company. Was me thinking that because it wasn't there, maybe it shouldn't be there. No. I have the solution. I am therefore the one to bring this solution forth. And nobody could do it like me. You know what I'm saying? Nobody has the experience, the relationships, the understanding, the know-how, the breadth of this whole situation. They don't know it. So it's okay. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
what I have learned to do is to take what I've learned in my natural hair journey, which is these ideas, these negative ideas that I've had about my hair has never come from me. And therefore, I
Listen.
don't need to perpetuate that. I don't need to still walk in that. And that's the same thing that I use now for even bringing this idea forward. Because sometimes I'm like, you create a whole media company, girl. Like, who is you? You know what I mean?
Like, I am that girl.
The audacity. And yes, the audacity. And I'm like, I'm here for it. You know what I'm saying? I'm here for it. But this is the thing. We have to realize our power. And of course, again, I'm speaking for me, because I have gone through this as well. I have gone through this, you know, what people like to call imposter syndrome.
Mm.
I think it's something a little different than imposter syndrome, but I mean, I kind of get it. But anyway, I I think it's a normal, I think it's a human thing. It's a human thing. It's just how we have to come to know who we are. And I think that journey happens from the time that we get here on this planet, is for us to really grow into ourselves and to know ourselves. And part of that is to know that the vision that we have comes from somewhere. It's not just a fleeting thing. Like this thing that downloaded to me about Main Moves Media is not no frivolous thing that just came out of nowhere. Like, I'm looking at all the pieces. I started this, let me just go back a little bit. I started this thinking about this Main Moves Media and stuff like that back in like 2000 and like maybe 2002, 2003.
Mm-hmm.
In a minute. And I had no clue all the things that I have done up until this point, that would happen, that I would be involved in all of these things, that I would be involved in any of this period.
Mm-hmm.
But it's for a bigger purpose. It's for a bigger purpose. And so therefore I am no longer standing in my way.
I'm here for that.
Yes, I'm no longer standing in my way. And I am working with other professionals, other hairstylists, braiders, beautypreneurs, because listen, I understand that social media and media could be a little scary. It could be a little daunting. However, again, this is bigger than you. This is bigger than you,
It's
right?
always bigger than you.
It's always bigger than us. Like where we are positioned right now with this natural hair industry, I'm like so thankful that I was born in this time. Because this is the moment that things are going to change. Trust me when I tell you, things are not going to be the same.
I
Not going to
believe it. I believe it. Okay. I mean, I'm thinking you are answering all of the questions
I'm glad. I'm
in the
glad.
one. So
What's the second part? Because I think I missed the second part. I don't know if I...
it was what unique perspectives and experiences do you feel your natural hair community is bringing to the industry? I feel like you touched on that.
I feel I was like, yeah, I think I did.
Yeah. So let me see. Okay. How will your natural hair media company, or how will Main Moves Media address the lack of diversity and representation in the beauty industry?
Oof. Well, first, we are going to be highlighting the voices that have been missing. The voices that have been missing in this media landscape for years. So I work with a lot of the master pioneers, okay, in the industry. These are folks who have really birthed this movement, that this current movement that we're seeing, right? So the natural hair movement that we are in currently is not the first natural hair movement that has happened in this country, right? this is the fifth and sixth wave that's coming, right? And I love that wave because when you think about the
Hair.
and the gravitational pull and the tides, the waves, like it's always coming. Have you ever seen a wave? Like, have you ever went to the ocean and it's just not moving? There's always a wave coming in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just life. It's the push and the pull of life. And so this movement that I'm in right now was we're building on the momentum of what has come before, right? So like there was a movement in the 60s and the 70s around natural hair
Mm-hmm.
down and now it's back up like waves, you know what I'm saying? So there has been movement around braiding and let me just stop right there. Before that, there's been waves before that, since we've come, like before we even got to this continent, you know what I'm saying, and
Mm-hmm.
the Caribbean and South Americas, right? We have a history, we have a legacy. You know what I'm saying, we have that, it has existed. Our hair braids have been a symbol of, like, a symbol of our
Expression.
expression, right? Our artistic expression, our place in society. And also, our hair has always been used as a benefit to us, right? Our hair has never been seen as a burden. So that's one of the major shifts that happened when we came to this country. When we were taken from the continent and brought here.
Mm-hmm.
Our hair was something that was communication to the spirit world. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, come on. I was
Yeah,
lit.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
Yeah.
go. I mean, when I always said that, but then when I watched Avatar,
Ah,
right? And the blue people, I'm like, okay, colored people.
yeah, the
All
black.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
But
know.
it was just like them connecting to the trees and connecting to the other animals and just like touching the hair. And even our hair on our skin, as soon as we're like cold or we're frightened or something, it stands up, it communicates to us that there's something happening. And our hair changes depending on what's lacking or what is provided for us in our body. So it's like that way of communicating. And it's just so powerful at the same time. Like, girl, okay,
Because
go
it's
ahead.
more than what we thought it was. Our hair is more than what we think it is. And I'm not even talking about the melanin that's in our hair. You know what I'm saying? Because melanin now is being studied as a power source. So the thing is, it is our responsibility to know who we are, because we cannot who's going to tell you?
No, and what would
Who
they? Why
knows?
would they?
Well, why would they? But the thing is, let me tell you something. I know this might be a little controversial. I don't believe in the separation of people. So I feel like if our hair is communicated, I feel like everybody's hair is a communication thing. It's
Hair is
not just
hair.
our hair. But what I am saying is that for us, for Black people, right? African descendant people, this information already exists. It's nothing new. That's what it might be new to us because we don't think of ourselves in that way. We don't think
Mm-hmm.
about our hair as communication apparatus. You know what I'm saying? Um, and if we did, would we be putting the things in our hair that hello? Are we breaking down the communication that we have? This is something that comes natural. It just grows and it's there to benefit you. It's there to let you know what's going on inside of your body, what's happening in your environment. It is not, and it can also be a style state. It can be all the things, right?
Everything.
But at the core of it, it is there for you. You know what I'm saying? It is there for your benefit. And when you look at it in that way, you don't abuse things that are here for your benefit.
Mm. Come on. Is this a
Come on
is this
now.
a word? Come on, communications. Okay.
So these are the messages. So this is really why my channel exists. Like, I'm not like, okay, fine. I know people love to talk about style and all those things. That's lovely. And there's so much information and so many places you can go for that, right? But for me, I want to make that connection between our natural hair, our beauty, um, and our identity, right? In our culture. What is that thread? There is a thread there. There is a connection there, right? Everything is connected. So I want to use hair as a gateway into talking about all of the other things that really are going to get you to know about you.
Mm.
Because if you're talking about your hair as something and you're not even caring about it and you're talking disparaging about it and you hate it and you have no relationship to it, you're really talking about how you feel about yourself. And listen to how you're talking about yourself.
Yeah. Listen. Okay. Listen. Okay, Natasha.
Okay.
Like it's such a detachment. Like it'd be like, oh yeah, that hair, or and it's also projection from like family that they've passed on to yourself. And it's like when you start, you spoke about cutting your hair off. Okay, so we're gonna put the pause in the questions for a second.
Yeah.
I did the same. And I forgot back when, I think it was in 2009 or 2008. And I was working at a psychiatric hospital. I worked at a psychiatric facility for about 5 years, from 19 to 25.
Okay.
And I like you said, like everything that we've done in our past has led us up to who we are right now, how I connect with different people, how I move, like, and how I communicate, because I know there's certain things that people have experienced that will have them thinking completely different.
Yes.
So I had went to a stylist and she had did my hair and I wanted the Holly Berry short wave look, and she put, so before I had that, I had like a relaxer, right? And after we grew out a little bit, so she was like, okay, we're gonna do the S curls and stuff like that. So when she applied it, it did not come out because it wasn't on natural hair. It was on something that was already processed.
Mm.
So I wasn't in cosmetology school yet. So I'm just like, my hair is sticking up. It has like it's
Like
it's
spikes?
straight. Yes, it's spikes and stuff like that. And I couldn't even be mad at her. Deep down, I was there like, I'm not gonna say she was a horrible thing. She's amazing at what she does. But for me, for that time, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to leave.
Mm.
So she was like, are you okay? I was like, it's fine. I left her and went straight to the barbershop. And when I tell you, I shaved the guy was like, are you sure? I'm like, yes,
I did.
just do it. Just do it. What else am I gonna do at this point?
Yeah.
And when he did that first shave, I
Mm.
felt so liberated and lifted at the like I was just like, oh wow. Like I he did the whole thing. I walked out and I held my head up. Like I didn't have my earrings on. I didn't have anything. And I was just like, yes, like, and
Yes.
people were walking by, and it wasn't the fact that they seen my head shaved, but it was just the confidence that I was like, I am happy with myself.
Yeah.
I see myself now. Like I'm not hiding behind hair.
Mm.
And I wasn't hiding behind relaxed hair or processed hair. Like it was just like, okay, this
Yeah.
is my head for right now. Like I get to see my head. And
Yeah.
then as it was growing up, I started to see my texture. So it
Mhm.
was just like I'm falling in love with me. And as I was falling in love with me, everybody else was doing the same. And yeah, so it was like
Mm.
I had
That's
to touch
really good.
I had to touch on that. Like,
I
but
didn't have
to
that
know
when I cut my
thyself.
hair, but you see,
No.
no, I'm sitting here like, oh my God, I can't. I had to go home to see face my mother because my mother was the one with the long hair thing. You know, that's where I got it from. So I was like, wow. I was transitioning for so long. I thought my hair was just gonna be like maybe even this late. No, it was nothing like that. It was like this. I had that much hair. And of course, if my mindset was still long hair is beautiful, and I ain't got no long hair, I'm like, oh God, what did I do to myself? You know? And uh, that is so that is so the point right there. I did not have confidence in myself. It had nothing to do with my hair. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That was what I was using as my thing for confidence. But confidence in you is confidence in you. And you know, I did a big chop a second time. I cut my hair again in 2000, right? So during
Mm-hmm.
the pandemic. And I said, well, I wish I felt like this the first time I cut my hair because I feel amazing. I was like, happening with you? But I wasn't there at the time. I wasn't there. It was a journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand. And that feeling is what I want to give, is what I want every Black woman to feel about themselves, is that confidence and that love. Oh my God, there's nothing like it. There's
Yeah.
nothing like it. And I have a lot of conversations with people. The first time I met you, it was like for hours, right? I talk
Right.
I talk to people all the time, and especially we always talk about hair, right? We always get into a conversation about hair. And I know that hang up, you know what I'm saying? Once they move past that point and get to that feeling, I feel like there's nothing that's going to stop us from doing anything. I just want us to get past this thing. You know what I'm saying? I want us to get
Mm-hmm.
past this thing, because it is the thing that is stopping us from living the life that we came here to live. Like, your hair, again, is an asset, is a benefit, is not a detriment.
No. And we should protect it at all costs.
Yeah.
Hence protective
It's there to
styles.
protect us. Like, it's there to protect us. Come on, this is a relationship. Come on now. This
And
is a
people don't have relationships with themselves, hence the hair. But that is the psychotherapy that you was talking about. Like, so I get it. When you say psychotherapy, I'm like, girl, I was in mental health, so that is big on me, like therapy in itself, because a lot of people run away from it.
yes.
Or just having a conversation with themselves, or being comfortable with sitting alone with themselves.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, if I see it, I'll be like this. Oh my God, that curl is really like defined. Like, I'll be sitting there playing with my hair.
Yeah.
And as soon as I take my braids out, it's the same thing. Like, I'm there like, oh my God, look at my hair. And I have to do that, like, in the mirror, just to see myself, because if I don't do it, who else will? And, back in the days, we spoke about like braids and natural hair has been on TV shows, television shows, and things like that.
Yeah.
But the advertising of get your braids, and that wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No.
no.
See, and that's what Main Moves is here for. That's what Main Moves here. That's what Main Moves is here for. Because, like I said, I believe that the missing voice, the missing piece in the media landscape around hair care and hair, are the stylists, are the braiders, are the folks who have been in this game, the ones who have all the knowledge, all the things that people are looking for. Yeah, y'all have it. And not only that, the love and the care and the attention that stylists can bring to the client is like golden. It's golden. It's something that should be, seen more. And that's why I'm working with natural hairstylists to create shows, right? To create podcasts, to create IG live series, so that they can get out there and share. You have the thing in you. Share it, give it. Why you have it if you're not gonna share it, child?
I mean, people, like you said, like, it's that confidence level, or like, who am I to do this? Like, this is something that I've just learned from experience. You get your license, and it's just like for the credentials. You get your license for the credentials, and then whatever else, like, I'll keep to myself in my little bubble, my little circle. But it's like to put yourself on like that exposed, or on a platform where you're like, oh, you want to hear what I have to say? Like,
We
yes.
do. We need
But
it. We need it, because the things that have been going around social media, Lord, like the misinformation, the misconceptions, the pain. You know what I mean? The pain.
You know what I mean. I know what you mean.
I know. I know. And I think that, that's part of the changing of the narrative that Main Moves is here for, right? We want to change the narrative around our hair. We want to change the narrative around our beauty. We want to change the narrative around ourselves and what we believe we deserve. And that is going to start with us. Can't start with nobody else. Has to start with us.
Okay. All right. So you heard of Natasha. I'm telling you, I'm there looking at the questions like, this is gonna be redundant. I don't care. All right. So as far as what with media,
Yes.
we already know that it's a crucial part in the natural hair community. We have already established that. But what opportunities do you see for growth and expansion within the natural hair community?
Oh my.
Natural hair in media
Oh,
industry?
in media. Okay. Well, for one, I think that education is the next frontier. I think that everyone should, who can teach, should be thinking about teaching, you know? So I'm a co-founding member of the Natural Hairstyle and Braid Coalition, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have formed in New York to preserve the legacy of natural hair in New York State, because New York State is the first state in the country to have a natural hairstyling license, right? That includes braiding as well. And so why that's significant is because before that license was created, if you wanted to do natural hair and braiding, you had to go to cosmetology school. The problem with that is that cosmetology school wasn't teaching anything about natural hair. So you see the conundrum, right? You see the loop there.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did was they was like, you know what? The pioneers in the industry were like, we want to do natural hair. We want to be professional. We want to have be able to open up a location to have clients come in. We want to secure our legacy, right? We want to secure our ways of doing hair, our protocols, and techniques that are based on our African heritage, right? We want to have that as a standard. We want to be able to be entrepreneurs. We want to also ensure the health and safety of our clients. So let us create our own natural hair industry. And how are you going to do that? Let's create a license.
Mm.
You have to, you know what I'm saying? How are you going to differentiate from getting your hair done by your homegirl or a professional? You want a professional thing. And so they created the license. It was not New York State's idea to create a license for braiding. They could care less. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We had to make that proposal. I'm saying we, the pioneers in the industry, had to make that an item. You know what I'm saying? They worked with the Center for Law and Social Justice and were like, okay, we need to protect our community. We need to have an actual standard, because I'm sure back in the 80s stuff was happening, crazy things was happening back then. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so that's the thing about believing in yourself, knowing that you have the solution. So then you come forth and you put that solution forth, because it's not just going to come out of thin air and you can't wait for nobody else to do it. You are here for that. So do it, right? And that's what they did. They created that license, and there's other licenses in the country, but now they're looking to deregulate, take away those licenses. And so the coalition is here to address that, and also to address the lack of education around natural hair and braiding.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a
Mm.
lack of education for the community itself, right? And we know there's many reasons why the community doesn't know how to do their own hair, understand about their own hair. And then we also have a problem in the industry that doesn't know how to do that, right? You're hearing stories about people going to salons, getting their hair jacked up, and models can't find,
That
hairstylists on
part.
set and actresses, and but there are people in the industry that have been and are still working on that. But as the coalition now, we're looking to do that on a major level, where it's happening all over at the same time. It's not little pieces here and there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so the opportunity there in media for me, right, for Main Moves Media, and anybody can jump in. I mean, the more media, the better. But for me, is to have the platform for the professional who has the information to share that information, to actually let people know what's going on with things like the Crown Act, right? Or other legislation in your state, or what's happening with licensing in your state. Like, that's why I feel Main Moves Media exists too, because where are you getting this information? Where are you going to go to get information about that? You can go to this website, that website. Anybody trying to do that. Main Moves Media. So there is an opportunity for hairstylists, anybody who's interested in hair. If you want to produce news around natural hair, hit me up. If you want to produce content around natural hair, I'm actually working with stylists to produce some TV shows, some reality shows, some talk shows. Like, this is going to be the place where the media professionals are going to come and share their information. And this is where the community is going to come to receive the information and to learn
Mm.
about other stylists in other states, because people travel, they want to get their hair done. But who do you know? How do people find braiders?
That
People in my
that's a
DMs. I need a braider. Can you recommend a natural hairstyle? Right. Y'all about to know
right.
about all of them, and not just all of them, the ones who know what they're doing, because
That
all
part.
stylists not created equal.
No,
This
and
is how they're
a
gonna
lot
learn.
of them don't care.
Yeah.
There's some that just don't care. But you touched on it, and a lot of people stay in certain places because
Yes.
that they're stylists. They're like, I can't move. I can't, and it's only limited. But then at the end of the day, your stylist might have to retire someday. Like it's not something that is going to be ongoing. And that's the biggest thing of like teaching, because it's like we can't do this forever, and we can't be selfish and keep it to ourselves. It's
Yep.
like, how do we pay it forward? So yeah,
It's an
so people can
industry.
move around.
So people
And you
can
can,
move around. And that's one thing too. I want stylists to have the opportunity to become people, because I think that, there's a lot of friction between hairstylists and clients. I be seeing the stuff on social media. The clients are like, "Well, what type of hairstylist and why do you da 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 da?" And then you have the the stylists who are like, "These clients out here, they create that." So there's a lot of back and forth, and I feel like my job as the mediator, because I do that. Like I have events where I bring the professionals and the clients together so they can have a conversation, is to
mhm.
really heal that relationship, right? Because I think that if people knew what it was to be a hairstylist and a braider, like they understood like the challenges that you guys face dealing with clients who don't understand, you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
having your own life and your own time. And I feel like stylists too need to really see themselves more as like not just this person that is running to everybody's whim and not taking care of themselves. Like you must take care of you. So I think this is an opportunity to really get people to understand more, and on the hairstylist side too, to understand where the clients are coming from, because they're dealing with a lot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We're all dealing with a lot. And I think that we can heal together.
Right. And I mean, you start to heal with the hair first, like the
Yeah,
crown is
yeah,
everything. And I think there's a minimum level of respect that each
yeah,
person has to have for each other. Like, yo, I love myself enough to love you to go ahead and take care of yourself. Or I love myself, girl, come get your hair done and make sure like you good
yeah,
at the end of the day. But I think that would be really awesome. So yeah, we do need more
yeah,
media in the industry of the natural hair, just to kind of like help promote that. And you're
yeah.
doing amazing, but you're by yourself. You're
Yes,
one person. So
right.
you need
Come on down.
more people. Yeah. I was gonna ask like what platforms can breeders look to for growing their business and clientele, but you already touched on that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And guess what? It's not just me, because I work with other people who do social media. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Mhm.
like it's a whole ecosystem. Like this is interesting because media, I guess, I'm also interested in giving like media literacy classes, right? Having helping stylists to be on camera, you know? Um because it's daunting sometimes. I remember when I got in front of the camera, I was all over the place, and I was like, I'm giving up. I can't do this. But I had to practice. I had to practice speaking in front of the camera. I had to practice speaking in front of people. You have to understand what is your story. Like you said, I told my whole story. I've been telling my story for so long. I know how to tell the story now. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
it's like, how do you get a sound? How do you speak within a sound bite? Because if you don't have a microphone in your face, you need to have a microphone in your face. You need to have a microphone. What you have to say matters. What you have to say matters. Your education matters. Your training matters. Your personal experience matters. And you sharing that, you never know who you are gonna touch. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
that's why I think it's important for stylists to step into that role of educator, right? Of teacher and of stylist, because you're caring for other people, and the care should be like the foundation, right? At the end of the day, the money's gonna come, but the care, nothing's gonna set you apart more than the care that you have for yourself and for others. And so sharing that, all these stories, like having all these conversations in one place, that's the magic that I want to share with the world.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can't add anything else to that because it's like sharing is caring. Um, do you have any favorite tools, resources that you use to help you in your entrepreneur journey starting this your natural hair media company?
Yes. Well, I use editing software. So obviously like Adobe, I use Adobe what was the thing called?
Premiere?
Adobe Premiere. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I use Adobe Premiere. First of all, I think for hairstylists, let me just give y'all a little thing. If you're not on it, Canva is out here changing the game. Canva is like Uber. You know what I mean? Like they is disrupting all types of things. You can do so many things on Canva. There's no excuses. There's no excuses. I don't want to hear nothing.
None. None.
None. You don't have to know how to draw. You don't have to know how to do any of those things. You just drag and paste, child. Drag and drop and pick through templates and add your music. And now you could do websites and now you could edit videos. I said, well. Canva is like,
Right. It's taking over. It's giving Adobe a run for its
oh,
money.
it sure is. It sure is. I'm using Canva for so many things. I love me some Canva. And also I just found this editing this editing app on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
It's called CapCut, CapCut. They give a lot of features. I don't even know if there's a paid version, but I'm like, whatever version I'm on, I can do so many things. I was like, wow, this is amazing. So CapCut, because I know stylists, I encourage stylists to start creating their own media. Pull out your phones. You have a whole production right here on your phone. You don't
Mm-hmm.
need a whole, if you want to produce something on a high level, then I would say come to me because, I know how to, I'm a storyteller. I'm an Emmy Award winning producer. I don't know if I said that.
Look, no, you did not.
All right, well, let me just drop that right there. So I know what I'm talking about. Storytelling is my thing. Like I'm a storyteller at heart. And I think that there is an art to telling stories. You know what I'm saying? And so that's, Main Move Studios, I would say just, check out Main Move Studios. That is the production company side of the business. This is where I work with beautypreneurs to create content. You know what I mean? If you want to tell your story, we'll do a profile video because I think everybody should know your story, your backstory. Who are you? Who am I sitting? Who am I sitting? Whose chair am I sitting in? Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What does this mean to you? Like connection. I think that really at the end of the day, what we're talking about is opening ourselves up to others, not being so closed and within. Like you can only receive if your arms are open. You know what I mean?
That part. Yeah.
So, and I'm learning it too. Obviously, I'm talking from experience. I've been, I'm a Scorpio. I be out here with this. Like but I'm the most open person you will ever meet. I love people. I love to share. I love to connect people. I love to come up with like solutions for people. It's just something that gives me a lot of joy, and I do
Mm-hmm.
that. And I don't stop myself from doing that. You know what I mean?
No, that was exactly when we met. It was the same thing. It was just like, oh my God, like I felt like I knew you forever. Like it was just
Yes.
kind of like I'm open, you're open, and it's like whatever you're pouring in, I'm pouring it right back, and that's just kind of like the benefits of just being open with individuals and just loving people in general,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, all right. So, okay,
I'm
so
about to
these
go on
these this is all amazing tools. So we have Canva, Adobe Premiere, and CapCut.
and on. Oh, CapCut.
Um,
Get on that.
so
Yeah.
I will share that with the listeners. So Natasha, before we wrap up, I would like to ask you a few questions to end on a positive high.
Okay.
So it is 3 questions.
Okay.
What is your favorite go-to braided style and why? Is there a book that you can recommend that would be great for a starting entrepreneur?
Mm.
And are there any new products, projects, or events that you would like to give us the tea on?
Oh, okay, a whole bunch. So the braided style, the other thing is my favorite style is twist. I can't do braids. I can't do braids. I've had some interesting experiences with braids, and I'm a little bit traumatized. I'm gonna just let y'all know.
Really?
I'm a little bit traumatized. I'm a little bit like, I don't know if I haven't had braids in so long. I couldn't even tell you the last time I had braids. But I love braids. I mean, they're the most beautiful things ever. I think that
Mm-hmm.
the intricacy of it, right? Um, it's just so versatile. I love braids. On me, I just don't know. I'm gonna have to have a braided moment, a pain-free braid moment, because girl,
Right. Because I'm about to say, I'm there like, girl, I'm gonna have to be like, here, girl, let me just give you a tryout over here.
make me a believer, make me a believer.
But yeah, okay, all right. So we're not gonna make this interview a little bit longer because we can go into the next thing. But we're
Yeah,
not. We're
yeah.
gonna stay on course.
Okay,
But
okay.
yeah, so two-strand twist.
Oh, I love two-strand twist. Oh, so
Mhm. All right. So the next one is there a book
oh,
that you can prefer?
oh, for entrepreneurship. Yeah,
Mhm.
there's a bunch. Well, the two that I like, the E-Myth, which is the entrepreneurial myth. I don't remember the name of the author for that one. And also From Good to Great. I remember I read that a while ago. That was a really good book. We actually did like a little book club on that one. Those are two good books for entrepreneurship, I think. Yeah, those are the two I would recommend.
So the E-Myth and
Oh, actually, there's another one. The 4 Hour Work Week.
huh.
Yeah, that left a lasting impression on me. I was like, this is the type of entrepreneur life I want. Hello.
I'm just taking the notes
Yes.
to make sure that I have it.
Mhm.
So that is the E myth.
Mhm.
The second one, I did not catch that one.
Oh, From Good to Great.
From good to great.
Mhm.
And then the 4 hour work week.
The 4 Hour Work Week. Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, and then the next thing is what you had another book?
No, no, no. Go ahead. What are you gonna say?
Oh, so what new products, projects, or events that you have coming up?
Oh, okay. What do we have coming up right now? Well, we don't have any dates. That's the thing. So, but the projects that I'm working with the Natural Hairstyle and Braid Coalition. So
Mm-hmm.
we are looking to have a series of events at the New York Beauty Suites, actually. So, look out for that. There are gonna be like informational sessions about licensing, hair loss in the community, really talking about hair health. Um, yeah, so we're gonna be bringing in special guests and stuff like that. Might be televising it on Main Moves Media. That's really the plan and the goal.
Might, might,
We will, we will,
we
we
will.
will,
Okay.
we will, we
Mhm.
will, we will.
I'm like,
Yeah, because there's so many great conversations that are happening, but they're not being live streamed, they're not being televised. And if you don't live in that space, or if you can't make it that day, you know what I mean? So yeah, there's a lot of conversations that we want to have with the community. So yeah, Main Moves Media is gonna be on the scene for those. So that's it for right now. Well, I don't know when this is coming out, but Saturday there's an event happening. But I don't know, that might be a little too soon. Oh, well, so this year I've been nominated as a Master Pioneer Award, a
yes,
Master
I
Pioneer
seen
Award.
that.
Yes.
Congrats.
So
Congrats.
thank you. Thank you. That's going to be in October. That's going to be in October. So the Natural Hair Industry Convention, I recommend every hairstylist, every braider go to the Natural Hair Industry Convention. It's going to be in Baltimore, Maryland this year. The dates are October 7th and 8th. And this year, they're also going to have the Master Pioneer Awards. So there's going to be two events, the Natural Hair Industry Convention, classes by day, and then party by night with the masters. And
Ooh.
Iyanla Van Zant is going to be the keynote speaker.
Oh wow. It's gonna be very,
This is the
very
year to go.
intense. It's gonna be like we pouring into each other at this point.
Yes, yes, absolutely. That's what the convention was always, but now with Iyanla, oh man, everybody gonna get their life.
Next level.
Next level.
Next level.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much, Natasha. And again, congratulations on your Master Pioneer Award coming up October. Okay, so what is it? Before we wrap up, would like you to tell the people like where they can find you, support you, or just like connect with you, if anything.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So for sure on my website, that's Main Moves Media. That's MANE, Main, Moves, MOVES media.com. You can email me there. And also on Instagram at Main Moves. I'm always answering my DM, so feel free.
And if everybody who knows, mane is basically it's a form of hair. So we say mane. That's the spinoff.
Yes.
And this is a braid podcast. So I'm pretty sure most of y'all already know what that is. And if y'all don't, it's cool. So you know what? Thank you so much. I'm like truly blessed to have you on the show. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening. I'm your girl, Karen Tenord, and you're sitting with the amazing Natasha Gaspard of Main Moves Media. Don't forget to check her out and her website at mainmovesmedia.com. Thank you again and have a great day and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Listen, such an amazing interview. To get more info, go to kaidetres.com/podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you got a lot from today. Be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and show back up. Okay, see you in a bit.